All right, guys and gals, so here's our next set of notes. This one's for solving equations and inequalities. We'll talk more about this big blurb when you're in class with me. So let's get to the meat and potatoes with this. Basically, we're talking about solving equations and inequalities, which you have done before, but now we're going to go a little step, or we're going to actually go deeper into this. All right, so if we're talking about the operation of addition, we want to know what the inverse operation would be, or the opposite. And the opposite of addition is subtraction or minus. So that means the inverse of subtraction would be addition. The inverse of multiplication would be division. They put this division sign here, but again, we're not going to use that anymore. From here going forward in all of your math classes, division will look like a fraction. Inverse of division is multiplication. All right? So now let's solve each equation. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess we will actually solve it. All right. So the only operation going on here is subtract 4. What's the inverse operation? Inverse operation to subtract 4 is add 4. So to solve this, I would add 4 to both sides to get x by itself. All right, pretty simple stuff. On here, the operation is adding 4. So we need to do the inverse, which is subtract 4. All right. Subtract 4 from both sides, and y is going to equal -1. Use your calculators when you start doing your practice. So the operation here is divide by 3. So we need to multiply by 3. That's our inverse operation. So this is going to look like this right here. And what happens on this side, the 3's cancel, leave me just an s, equals 9 times 3, which is 27. So here we have multiply by 6. So we need to divide by 6. So we're going to divide both sides. Remember, we're not using division sign anymore. So now I've got the 6's over here are going to cancel, and then 12 divided by 6 is p equals 2. All right. So now we're going to just solve each equation on your own. I'm going to kind of zip through this. Like I said, we'll talk more about it in class. So I'm trying to get x by itself. In order to do that, I got to get rid of a -6. Inverse is add 6. I need to get rid of a -5 that's being multiplied by d, so I need to divide by -5. 25 divided by -5 gives me -5. Okay, this one's a little backwards, but it says 8 plus m, okay? Well, this is a +8, a +8, that's not being multiplied times m, so we're going to subtract 8 from both sides, and m's going to give me -12. Here I am dividing by 7, so I need to do the inverse, which is multiply by 7. Remember, these 7's go away. 1 times 7 is 7. Y minus -9. So let's clean this up a little bit. This is really a -1 times -9. What happens when I multiply a negative times a negative? Your calculator will do it for you, but it really turns into an addition. So then I can subtract 9. Y equals -7. All right, so now we got a fraction, but don't let it freak you out. Your calculator loves fractions. What is going on between the fraction and the letter or the variable? There is multiplication. So all I have to do is divide by 1/3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/3. So in your calculator, let's talk about what this right here is going to look like. What I would do is I would create a fraction. Let me turn it on. I'd create a fraction. On the top of the fraction, I'm going to put a 6. On the bottom of the fraction, I have another fraction. So I'm gonna hit the fraction button. On the top of that, I'm gonna put 1. On the bottom, I'm gonna hit 3. And your answer is 18. So see, your calculator didn't care that that was a fraction, so don't let it freak you out. Let me make sure we're still squinted up on the camera. All right. Looks pretty good. All right, so that was all one-step equations. Excuse me, that was all one-step equations, so now we're gonna do two-step equations. So now, with this x, I'm gonna have to deal with a 3 and a -4, maybe not in that order, okay, but I've got two things to deal with. So now, I'm gonna rewrite it, since I messed that up. So now, we're gonna look at the side of the equal sign that has an x. We're gonna deal with the addition or subtraction first. Well, it's a -4, so I want to add 4 to both sides. That's going to leave me, these two cancel. That leaves me 3x equals 18. Multiplication going on between 3 and the x. X equals 6. Remember, I divide to get rid of multiplication. That cancels. Got 2x plus 4, so another two-step equation. I'm going to deal with the +4 first. 2 times x, inverse is divide by 2. All right, so this is -3, or 7 minus -3y equals 22. Now this one gives kids a little bit of trouble, but what this really says, I'm gonna rewrite it. It really says -3y plus 7 equals 22. And now when you see it this way, it makes it's a whole lot easier to see that the opposite of this +7 is subtract 7. That negative is with that 3, not necessarily 3 minus 7. So the first thing I would do is subtract 7 from both sides. That leaves me a -3y equals 15. So now I'm going to divide, and I'm going to divide by whatever number I see there. Whether it's a fraction, a negative, doesn't matter. That's what I'm going to put on the bottom. And then y equals -5. Okay? So next, got another two-step equation. I'm going to get rid of the addition or the subtraction, or the constant first. Eight plus 1 is 9. Those canceled. So now I've got a decimal, but I don't care. All I'm going to do is divide by whatever's in front of that variable. So we're going to divide by 0.5. And your calculator does not care that it's a decimal, and I'll prove you. 9. I'm going to do a fraction so it looks like my work. I'm going to do 9 on the top, 0.5 on the bottom, and that gives me 18. So again, your calculator didn't care what was down there. It was a number to it, so it just did the math. All right, so here's another one that's kind of like this. The constant is in front, but I'm still going to move the constant, which is a -6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. That leaves me an x over 4 equals -5, and 6 is 1. So this is x divided by 4. So the inverse is multiplied by 4. These cancel. X equals 4. And then finally, this one's set up the way we like to set it up. Our constants at the end. We needed to add 8 to both sides. Don't freak out that it's a fraction. It's x times 1 over 4, so we're going to divide by 1 over 4 both sides. These 1 over 4s cancel. Calculator, remember I'm going to do a fraction. I'm going to put 10 on the top of my fraction. On the bottom, I'm going to create another fraction. I'm going to do 1 over 4. I'm going to hit enter, and x equals 40. Calculator didn't care that it was a fraction. I'm solving multi-step equations, so here's your steps. Remember, you'll be able to use this on your notes, so make sure you have this in your notebook when we do our quizzes and our tests. And that is it. Thank you.